Are you tired of looking at your dirty and dingy bathroom floor, but you're on a budget and you can't really afford to hire someone to come do it for you? In this video, I'm going to show you how to purchase and install your own bathroom floor for less than $150. I don't know a single family-owned flooring business or mom-and-pop family business that does not have multiple piles of remnants, whether it be carpet or vinyl, that they're willing to part with for a cheap price. The reason why you're able to get these remnants so cheap from flooring stores is because they've already been bought and paid for by previous customers, and anything that they sell them for is 100% profit. So you might say, well, how come they're already paid for? Flooring stores are able to get a row balance cheaper than they're able to get a specific size roll of carpet or vinyl. Most of the time, say I can get a roll of 150-foot carpet cheaper than I can get a roll of carpet for a specific size cut of 120 because they already have it there. So with that being said, they sell that to the customer and they've got 15 feet left over. They have a free 15-foot piece of carpet they can sell super cheap. Same with these pieces of vinyl, just like this. They are left over on the end of the roll after the job has already been sold and installed, or they are just big cutouts. This one right here is what we're going to be installing today. I could pick this up for $35 or $50 and slap it in our bathroom, okay? These are going to come rolled up just like this on the roll. So the first thing you're going to want to do while you're getting your floor ready is go ahead and unroll this and let it lay out flat the way it's going to be installed, okay? So we're going to go ahead and roll this out just like this. This is how it's going to be installed. So we're going to lay it out flat so we can get all relaxed and used to laying flat so it's not trying to curl up on us as we're working with it in our tiny bathroom. So this bathroom right here is average size for a hall bathroom or a kid's bathroom. So it's very convenient to take on this job by yourself. This measures 5'7" net to 4'8" wide, okay? So it's basically a 5x5 bathroom. You see those all the time. They're very common in hallways and such like that. So the first thing we need to do to get this floor ready, and I'm going to give you two different scenarios. One scenario, if you already have vinyl installed, I'll show you how to take care of that. But first, this goes for both ways. The very first thing that we're going to need to do is go over the floor, make sure there's nothing intruding up out of the floor, screw heads, nail heads, anything like that. Just rub your hand over it. If you feel anything, take a hammer and tap it down. After we get that done, we're going to go over the whole floor with a broom, make sure it's nice and clean. I already have the toilet removed, and we have the necessary items to remove and set the commode back, fixed in our budget. And in the description of this video, I'm going to link you to everything you need to install this bathroom for under $150. Next thing we need to do is go over the floor, make sure there's no holes or anything like that that our flooring could actually pull down into. So with that, we are going to be using a skim coat. You can get a whole bag of this at Home Depot. Not necessarily this brand, but you can get a bag of floor patch at Home Depot for 25 bucks. You want to read on the bag how to mix it. A lot of them are different. So this one here happens to be a 2-to-1 mixture ratio. So I'm just going to take, you don't really need anything special to mix this stuff. I've got a bucket of water right here I'm going to be using, and another bucket right here to scoop water out. And this right here is just a chisel I'm going to use to mix it up, okay? Again, nothing fancy. And a little tip about your floor patch. If you don't want to wait on it to dry for a very long time, mix it with warm water. It's going to dry that much faster. This stuff will usually take about 20 to 30 minutes anyway to dry completely up where you can install your flooring over it. You're going to want to get a cement-based floor patch. Do not get any floor patch that is white. I promise you it will not hold up for the method of installation that we are doing here. The white stuff is no good in any installation. Do not do it. Buy you some gray cement-based floor patch, okay? So you can look right here. This is the consistency that you're going to be wanting when you do this. And I tell you, I'm going to start at my furthest corner away from the doorway and work my way to the door so I can back up out of the room. I'm just going to use the nose of my trowel to get up next to the walls. When you're working up next to cracks and so forth, like that right there, just a crack in the subfloor, you're going to want to take the nose of your trowel and just smash it down in there, just like that, and make sure that that hole gets filled up or that crack gets filled up really nicely, or else whenever it dries, it's just going to crack and fall down in there and still be a void in your floor. I'll show you that again with nail heads. So right here we've got some holes in the floor. Again, we're going to take the nose of our trowel, just make sure we get those filled up nicely. You want to try not to get it any bumps in it, any clumps left or anything like that, but if you happen to, don't stress over it too awful much. We're going to do something once this dries to take care of any protruding or any bumps that didn't get flattened out in the troweling process. Just want to point a couple things out. You can see a dark streak right there, a dark streak right there, and a little bit of darkness here. What that is, where it's darker, there's actually low spots, and it's thicker right there. That's why it's darker. So that lets you know that you have filled in any low spots that there are. Any of the dark spots you see are little low spots in the floor that is now filled up and flattened for a nice smooth finish. The things that we've used so far in the video is a trowel, which is $7. A wax ring for our commode is another $7. The floor patch is $25. And the actual sheet vinyl itself is $50. So far we have spent $89 on our flooring project. To help speed up our drying process, I'm going to take and put a fan on it just to blow on it. It can be any kind of fan, a box fan, oscillating fan, any kind of fan that you have around your home. Just so long as we get some air moving on the floor patch, is going to dramatically speed up the drying process. So again, I was going to tell you in both scenarios, if you have vinyl already installed in your bathroom and you don't take it up because of the fact that it might be glued to your floor, you're going to want to leave it down and go over it. Before you do this step right here, you're going to want to apply a primer on it, okay? The product that I'm using is a Mapei product. I would go with this Primer L. It is the cheapest primer that is compatible with the Plenty Prep SC that I was using, and it also is just able to be put on with a rag or something like that. You simply put it on the flooring and smear it around with a rag and let it dry. Then you would apply your skim coat as we did right here. The product that I have budgeted for this is a Henry product at Home Depot, and you can get that for $12. This floor patch has now been drying for about 10.5 minutes with a fan on it, and you can see it's almost already quite dry. The only thing that is not dry is the dark spots, which is where the floor patch was a little deeper. So Still need to let it dry a little bit more. You can see the nail holes and the cracks are definitely taking longer than anything. That's because that is where it's deepest. Before the floor patch gets completely dry, it's mostly dry, but before it gets completely dry, we're going to come in here and look over the floor, and any clumps that we may have missed, just take your trowel and run over it like that, and it's going to get rid of those bumps. If they dry like that, it's going to be much harder to get them up once they're dry. Okay, so this is now completely dry. It's taken about 30 minutes to get to this point right here, so not too bad. Maybe a little time to sit down, take a break, have you a sandwich, or whatever you need to do just to kill some time while this is drying. Next thing we're going to do is take our trowel that we applied the floor patch with, and we're actually going to fill over the whole floor, and anything that is a bump or anything like that, we're simply going to scrape over and break it loose. For instance, little ridge right here we got, not the crack here, but right here we had a little buildup. We're just going to scrape that up and make it nice and smooth. Alrighty. So if you happen not to have one of these little oscillating multi-purpose cutters at your home, there is a way around that. You can either use a regular hacksaw blade. You're going to want to get a coarse one if you have these around your home. If not, there's something else that you can even do. You can actually take the trowel that you scraped your floor with and applied the floor patch with, and I'm going to show you how to do it with just this. If you do have one of these hacksaw blades here, you can simply take and lay it flat and just work it like that and cut right underneath of your door jamb, okay? If you don't have that, again, a lot of times there's going to be a small gap like that. Anyway, at the bottom, take the butt of your trowel, put it under there, and just give it a little wiggle. It is going to barely loosen it up, but it's not going to be enough to hurt anything. We just need to get it raised up enough to slide our vinyl underneath of it, okay? We're going to do the same thing right here on this other side. We're going to, now this one ain't really hardly got a gap at all, so there we go. Got it slid under there. We're just going to work that door jamb piece up just a little bit. Again, it ain't going to destroy anything. It's just going to give it a little shimmy, okay? As long as you got it good enough where you can get your product, this is the product we're working with. I just cut a little piece of it. As long as you get it good enough where you can get that underneath of there, just like that, that's going to be fine. So vinyl is a really thin product, so it don't take much at all to get it raised up enough for that. Now that we got everything dealt with, we got our door jambs dealt with, we have the floor patch all scraped up and everything. Now that we got everything ready, we're going to give it a really good sweeping. We want to make sure we get it really good. After we get done sweeping, we want to take and rub our hand on the floor like this. See if we feel any little granules or anything like that. If we feel any kind of garbage or debris, little granules, we need to sweep it again. We need to make sure there's absolutely nothing underneath the vinyl between the flooring that you're going to lay and the actual floor. We want it to be completely debris free. So this is a remnant, so we can tell that this is a cut edge. Over here also is a cut edge. This is not a factory edge. This over here is not a factory edge. We have one factory edge on this piece of vinyl, and it's right over here. You can see this is the factory edge. This is what the manufacturer left on it. So that's going to be nice and straight. So what we're going to do is take this factory edge right here, and we're going to line it up directly to the bathtub right there on that wall right there is what we're going to line up. And what I mean by line up is just butt it to this corner and this corner, and then the center is going to fall nicely too. I'll show you that right now. Because we are going to be lining again this end here up against the wall, we're going to want to take this piece of vinyl and fold it right in half. Now this is a fiberglass backing or straight vinyl all the way through. The old vinyls used to have a paper backing where you could not break them break it at all. This is a lot less forgiving, but still, you want to do your best not to do breaks in it to make it kink or have pinch points or anything like that. You don't want to get it in a direct bind. So we want to try not to get a bind in it like this, okay? Try to avoid that. If you do happen to do that on accident, it's not the end of the world. Again, this vinyl is a lot more forgiving than the old stuff. Now you noticed I just picked it up right there. I give it a little tap on both sides, make sure there's no debris that's stuck on the back of the vinyl. Now we're going to work our way right in the bathroom here. We're going to hold it up at an angle like this, and the end that we're going to line, we're going to have down low like that. And this other end and both sides are just going to be up on the wall right here, okay? So we got it like that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so what we want to do, again, we want to butt this factory edge right here against the baseboard in this corner and in this corner here, okay? I'm actually sitting outside the doorway to do this. There we go. I'm just going to push it on that way as well. All right. Now we have our toilet flange there, so you can see it's kind of raising it up right there a little bit. So we need to make sure this lays flat, and then you can see we're about a 1/4 inch off right there, okay? So now that that's flat right there, we want to, there we go. Go ahead and butt that over like that. Okay, now we're touching corner, and we're touching corner right there. Now that we got this laid in here, and we know we have it straight because we lined our factory edge up against the base of the tub over here. The first thing we're going to do now, we want to get this to lay flat, okay? So we're going to take and cut this square out for the vanity right here, so this can lay over there and that can lay over there. Show you how to do that. Right exactly on the corner. We want to be real specific on this. Right on the corner, we're going to take our utility knife and just put a little cut. We want to be careful not to cut the bottom piece. We only want to cut the top piece, okay? So directly on the corner, we're going to give it a little raise up so that it's not smashed flat on the bottom layer of vinyl, and cut directly straight back, okay? There we go. Now we got us a little cut point right there, okay? So we can go on out just 2 or 3 inches or something straight out from the corner, okay? Make sure you don't come like this or go like that. You want to go straight back away from the corner a good 3 or 4 inches, okay? Now to keep you safe on this, so we don't have any accidents, we're going to take and just raise up right here. We're going to take this vinyl up off the floor, and we're going to put our knife right there and just continue that cut straight out like that, okay? Be careful not to push too hard and go underneath and cut the actual flooring here, okay? There we go. Now we have that cut all the way from the corner. We're going to fold that around like that. Fold this side around like that. Whenever we get these two pieces folded around, we'll be able to tell if it needs to be cut down any more at all right here on this corner. If it needs to be cut down, it'll be all humped up there a little bit, okay? We actually look like we got it really good. So now we can see exactly what we need to cut off to eliminate this waste, okay? So just take and roll it up like that. You can double check here if you want to, make sure this is all good there, and then just push down like that and cut this extra off. Again, you always want to be really careful not to push too hard and cut that bottom layer. This is a vinyl product and it cuts really easily, okay? You will accidentally go too deep if you're not careful. We're going to do the exact same thing on this side. Fold it down and just cut and leave us 2 or 3 inches up the wall, okay? So the next thing that we're going to do is cut out this toilet flange. It's right here. This is where the commode goes. I want to feel of it, and I want to feel right here where I need to be. I mean, feeling of it, it goes way around like this right here. So I'm going to start in the center of it with my knife And I'm just going to easily cut to the outside of it. I'm going to be opening it up like this so I can see the edge of the toilet flange, okay? Don't want to go too far with this. And I'm going to just put an X in it, okay? I'm going to go both ways like that. Again, I want to be opening it up so I can take a look or feel which way I want to, how far I want to go with this cut, okay? Again, we don't want to get the hole too big. Now, I'm going to cut an X in it this direction. You can really fold it back and get a look now. Okay, there we go. So your toilet covers quite a bit in the front of this and quite a bit in the back. The closest places to this is on each side of it because that's the narrowest part of the toilet. So be really careful on this side and on this side. You're only going to get a couple inches, maybe not even that much of coverage with your commode, okay? Now we can just fold this back and cut directly along right around the outside of that toilet flange right there. Is exactly what we want to do. We're just going to look at it as we cut around, okay? So this is what we want it to look like all the way around our commode flange, okay? We're just going to go slow and be real careful with this. We don't need any accidents, especially, again, over on the sides, okay? There we go. Now it's going to lay all completely flat. Really nice now. Everything is cut out nicely. Okay, now here on the door jamb, we want to not go directly beside it right there. We actually want to scoot over about a 1/2 inch away from the edge of the door jamb. And we can just take and push down with our knife. Again, we do not have to be dead on with this, okay? We actually do not want to be dead on with this. We actually want to have a little slack all the way around the edges, okay? So you can take the butt of your knife here and just kind of crease it a little bit right in the corner right there. It's going to help you out. We're going to do that down the whole wall right there. Now, we're just going to be careful, okay? Simply cut a little bit right there. Double check yourself every little bit. If you're not sure, this is the first time you're doing this, check yourself every few inches. That right there is exactly what we want. We want about a 1/4 inch away from the baseboard. Once again, we do not want this touching anything, okay? We're going to take and continue that cut. Keep checking as we go. Keep checking as we go. Keep checking as we go, okay? So, looky here. We have a little spot where it's a little too tight. If you look right there, I don't want it to be this tight. You might say, that's a pretty nice cutting. It's actually not for the installation that we're going to do. We're going to take and cut a little bit more off of it, okay? Again, we want that 1/4 inch right there from the baseboard, okay? There we go. We're going to do the exact same thing over here on this other wall and around the cabinet. So we can see how this is rolled up here and rolled up here. We need to get this pushed down here just like this in order to get our cut. But we got a problem right here. So we're going to do a little bend, just like I told you we didn't want to do. We want to fold it down just a little bit where we feel and estimate where it's going to touch the baseboard. Fold it backwards and push down directly into the corner. Now that's going to allow this to go in and this to go in, okay? Once you get as close as you can get to the wall here, you can simply fold it back like this. You're going to be within 1 inch or so of the end of the wall. So fold it up. Get yourself where you can see a straight line right here and just finish cutting that straight out, okay? Alrighty, now we have everything completely cut down and in place. Everything is looking really nice. The only thing we have left to do is cut down our door jambs, okay? Okay, so here's our door jamb. We're going to fold this back as much as we can without causing damage to the vinyl. And what we're going to do, we don't want to go all the way down to the corner, like all the way to the subfloor. We actually want to just, we got it puckered up about a 1/4 inch right here. This is what I'm talking about. So we got it pushed down and we got it about a pucker this much. What we're going to do is, instead of cutting where it meets all the way to the floor down here, we're actually going to start our cut up here on top of that little pucker, okay? So folding it back like that, making sure not to go to this side of the door jamb. We want our cut to be inside here versus on the outside of it here, okay? So just a little bit right here and push in, come straight back. You don't even have to do it all at once if you're scared. Take it easy. We're not in any rush. Remember, we're saving monies. That's the reason for this project. Now we can do that right there and we can do that right there, okay? Since we got that done, we're going to push it down real nice up against there. Do not cut all the way through on this, okay? We're simply going to score the vinyl right here. We're going to take our blade and allow about a 1/4 inch up on the door jamb with our knife, okay? Again, we're not cutting all the way through because we don't want to scratch up our door casings, okay? So get it cut like that, and then you can finish ripping it off there either way. I had to cut a little notch out right there, right here, so it would lay down by that. Now we can freely cut it just like we did here without cutting all the way through, okay? Mashing it down, giving ourselves about a 1/4 inch. Don't cut all the way through. There we go. Now, again, we can fold it back. See how it's not cut all the way through there? Fold it back and just rip it off, okay? Now, you can see we have about a 1/4 inch here and about a 1/4 inch here. Now what we can do, we're going to do a little swooping motion, okay? We're going to take our vinyl now and just swoop it right underneath the door jamb right here. And this is where we might need our trial or a pry bar again, okay? We're going to take our trial now, give it a little wiggle again underneath this just to raise it up a wee bit, enough for that vinyl to slide right under there, okay? Once we get it there, we can pull it out, okay? Now we need to do the same thing right over here, okay? There we go. See that? Just a little wiggle. Working it right up underneath there, okay? And it's not causing any damage. Not causing any damage to the door jamb or your vinyl, okay? So I'm going to go through this process a little faster here since I showed you over there, but we'll do the same thing again. Onto the inside here. Cut it back at an angle, okay? Cut that extra off. Get this little square cut out so it will lay down flat. There we go. And again, just leaving ourselves about a 1/4 inch up there. Do not cut all the way through, okay? There we go. Same thing here again. Take your time. There we go. Nice. That is beautiful, okay? We're going to do the exact same thing we did. Give it a little tuck right here. You can see we are going to need to use our trial again to get it raised up just barely. Just give it a little wiggle like so. Poke your flooring right underneath of there. There we go. There it went. Okay. We got just a little bit right here. I need to barely raise up right there. Got that good. We just got to get that one little corner there. It don't really matter on the baseboard if we put a little booger on it, because we're going to actually be putting down trim. So that is okay if we do that, okay? Now, laying flat here, laying flat here, this is exactly what we want. All right, we now got everything completely cut in. It looks really good. Now it's time to take care of these edges where it has a little gap around the perimeter, okay? This is figured in the budget. The trim and the tools to put the trim down, okay? This was in the budget, just not this particular set. You can get a miter box and a saw at Home Depot for $14, and you can get 8-foot sticks of primed quarter round for $7 a piece, so that's another $14, okay? Again, all this is in the budget, under $150, okay? So before we paint or do anything with this trim, that's right, paint is in the budget as well. We're going to get everything in here cut, okay? Okay, so our very first cut we're going to do right here. We want to make sure we push our tape measure all the way up to the wall, and we can see what we got right there. We're going to make this cut 31 5/8 of an inch, okay? We're going to do both of these cuts on a 45-degree angle. We're going to do both of these cuts on an angle where the point of the angle comes back like that, okay? We don't want any where it comes from here that way until we get around the cabinet. All of our cuts are going to be here, back at an angle that direction, okay? We're going to do both ends of this cut like that, okay? Okay, we're going to hook our tape measure on the very end point, of this cut right there, and measure down 31 5/8. Put us a tiny mark right on the very back of this trim. We want to make sure our saw blade is directly on that point. Okay, we now have another 45-degree cut right there. Take our cut piece and lay it here. Make sure it's going to fit. It needs to, looky there, just beautiful. It's all the way butted down here on the wall end, and it meets the door jamb there, and all the way to the corner there. For our next cut, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to measure from wall to wall, okay? We're going to butt our tape measure all the way into the corner and push it and bend our tape measure into the corner like that, and see exactly what we got right there. 53 3/16, okay? That's 3 little lines. Just like a while ago, both of these cuts that we're fixing to do, we got to have these angles on both ends, okay? This 45 that way and a 45 that way. We got our second piece cut. We're going to see if it fits. We're going to test fit it just like we did a while ago. Everything fits nicely. Let's move on to our third cut. Again, the exact same thing. Butt your tape measure wall to wall. Do the same angle on each cut. Okay, we are to our bathroom vanity now. We're going to move this out of the way so we can get a nice measurement. The thing we're going to want to do here is a little different, okay? We're going to actually measure to the wall, and we want to get a dead-on measurement right to the edge of this right here, okay? We definitely don't want it to be on the inside any at all. Right there, we're going to cut this 18 inches, okay? That's going to be perfect to the corner. Yeah, we're just going to say a heavy 18, okay? So this cut here is going to be a little different. We're still going to hook our tape measure onto the very end of our trim right there. And again, what a heavy 18 is what we wanted. We wanted a heavy 18 for this measurement. So right there. And I'm going to just leave my mark on the piece. I'm going to just leave my mark on the piece that I'm using here so that it will be a heavy 18, okay? Again, this is going to be a little different cut. We don't need to have a angle this direction. On this end, longest point is going to be here. We're going to make this angle run right down through here, okay? So we've got to think about that when we're placing this in our miter box, okay? So looky here. If I do that, that's going to be the exact same way. It's going to be the wrong angle, okay? So I need to turn and put my saw blade in this direction. Now I'm going to have it at the right angle, okay? And again, I wanted a heavy 18. I want my mark to be left on this piece here that I'm using, okay? So I'm going to just, right there we go. And there we have it. We now have our corner piece put in there, and you can see it does fall directly on the edge right here. So that worked out perfect right there. We are now going to do the exact same thing on the front side. Okay, we got our piece cut. Let's check it out and see how it's going to fit there. Okay, so this is our corner now. That looks really good. I can definitely live with that. Since we already got this here, a little bitty piece left over, I'm just going to set this down there and mark it right there instead of even measuring it. And that is where I'm going to cut it. All right. Okay. We now have all of our pieces cut and just laid in place where they belong. Before we nail them down, now that everything's cut, we're going to take them outside on a garbage bag so we don't paint the grass or paint the sidewalk, and we're going to spray paint them. This Rust-Oleum brand is what I use all the time on my personal jobs, and I always will choose a semi-gloss, okay? This is going to run you $7 for one can of this. This is going to be more than enough to do what little trim we have to do here. You can actually get probably 3 coats of paint on this right here on the quarter round. It does dry pretty fast, so you can do it, let it sit for 10 minutes, put another coat, let it sit for 10 minutes, and if you want to, if you still need more, put another coat. And then after your last coat, you're probably going to want to wait about 20 or 30 minutes before you start handling it and nailing it down, okay? Okay, unfortunately, I don't have any finish nails here at the house, but I did budget that. You can get a 50 pack of finish nails at Home Depot, which is going to be more than enough to do what you got to do here. The finish nails are going to cost you $3 for a 50 pack. So simply nail your trim down to the floor. I want to explain this. This is really important, okay? You're going to want to run your nails not straight in the side like that and not straight down like that. You want to run it at about a 45-degree angle so it will go directly in and out as close to this bottom corner as possible. Therefore, you do not puncture the vinyl underneath here. That was the reason of leaving this gap right here. So when we nail, we don't nail through the vinyl, okay? This needs to be free floating. So that's our goal. Okay, we now have our trim all nailed in place, painted. Not really painted, but I'm just skipping that. Taking it for granted that you will paint your own trim before you put it down. So we got it all painted and ready to go now. Next thing we're going to do is do some caulking to take care of these corners and stuff like that. Just a little bitty crack here at the top of our trim. We want everything to look nice and finished off, okay? Okay, so this is the caulking that we can use right here. This comes in a squeezable tube. You don't need no caulking gun or anything like that. You can get this tube of caulking at Home Depot for $6. and it's going to do the trick for what we got to do right here on this little bathroom, okay? So if you'll notice, I got that tip cut at an angle. That way it'll fit nicely in the crevice right there. As you squeeze it out, you're going to be able to do a nice job, okay? However, I'm not going to use this to do the caulking here. I just wanted to show you what you could use to stay in the budget. I'm going to use my traditional caulking gun and caulking. Okay, so we're going to take our caulking gun or our tube of caulking and just ever so slightly squeeze. We do not need a whole bunch of caulking here, just something to simply fill up that little crack there, okay? I have a wet rag handy, and I'm going to take my finger. I got a wet rag here. I'm going to take my finger, make sure it's wet from the rag, and then I'm just going to lay it right in there like that, okay? I'm not going to go very far, just a few inches at a time. Make sure it's all cleaned up and pretty. We don't want to take it all out. Again, we're just filling up that crack, so just wipe off the excess in the joint there, okay? There we have it. That's what we're going to want to do. You might see that corner right there. How are we going to take care of that without getting caulking all over the floor? Well, I'm going to take my knife, my regular utility knife that we cut this vinyl with. I'm going to place it right there under, just ever so slightly under the trim right there. And then I'm going to squeeze out some caulking. Again, having my cut angle to the point that I want to fill up with caulking, okay? Okay. Now that we got the caulking in there, we're just going to take our finger, make sure it's wet. Again, always making it wet and keeping it clean just ever so slightly. Rubbing it in the crack there and wiping and cleaning your finger, okay? Once we get it to that point right there, then we can take our knife. When we pick it up, we're going to want to raise up on it, okay? So now we can use our knife, our blade, just right under there and clean that up right by the floor, okay? There we go. All right. There. Now, there we go. That looks nice now. So that's how we're going to take care of this. We're going to continue on all the way around the perimeter, doing that same technique, okay? Don't put your finger straight up and down like that. Have it at an angle like that, okay? Just go a few inches and wipe it on the rag. This is the list right here of everything I used in the video. Screenshot it and take it to the store with you. And we have it all caulked up now, looking really nice and pretty. This is a bathroom that you can be proud of and brag to your friends that you've done it yourself. However, there is one more thing to complete this job. Okay, we got one last thing to do, and that is fix the doorway back to our carpet in the hallway. I'm going to leave videos right over here and right over here on different transitions that you may have, so you'll know how to take care of them. Thank you guys for tuning in to the channel. I hope this helped you. Until next time, FBSB's out.